Sometimes the real conversations don't happen on the news. They happen when two people sit down, turn on the microphone, and decide to tell the truth. This Friday, March 6th at 2 p.m. Central, on the Howard Report, James Howard welcomes a guest who's been shaking up the internet and building an empire of her own. Bambi Palermo, creator of the Pizzaverse, storyteller, and someone who isn't afraid to call out fake wise guys, internet clowns, and the madness of the online world. This isn't a scripted interview. This is a real conversation. They'll be talking about the rise of the Pizzaverse, the chaos of YouTube drama, creativity, storytelling, and building a brand from nothing, and the people who try to stand in the way. And knowing Bambi, there's always a surprise or two waiting around the corner. So if you like your conversations real, unfiltered, and a little dangerous, tune in. Friday, March 6th, 2 p.m. Central. The Howard Report. One microphone, two voices, and absolutely no nonsense.
Mugs, what the fuck you doing in there, you prick?
The Kansas City Mafia, America's quietest crime empire. A Pizzaverse Studios San Palermo Productions documentary. Written by Bambi Palermo. Narrated by Vincent DiPrio. The American Mafia is often associated with the streets of New York, the violence of Chicago, or the power struggles of Philadelphia. But far from the spotlight, in the American Midwest, another organization quietly built one of the most powerful criminal enterprises in the country. Kansas City. For decades, the Kansas City crime family operated in near silence. No flashy headlines. No Hollywood movies. Just money. Lots of money. Gambling. Union rackets. Political corruption. And one of the most infamous casino skimming operations in American history. This is the story of the Kansas City Mafia. How they rose. How they ruled. And how the FBI finally brought them down. The roots of the Midwest mob. The story begins in the early 1900s. Like many American mafia families, the Kansas City organization was born from waves of Italian immigrants arriving in the United States. Many came from Sicily and southern Italy, settling in neighborhoods across the Midwest. Kansas City quickly became a hub of Italian-American life. But with opportunity came crime. Early gangs began running, bootlegging operations, protection rackets, illegal gambling dens. And by the 1920s, the structure of organized crime was already forming. The first known boss of the Kansas City family was Joseph DiGiovanni. DiGiovanni was a classic early mafia figure. Quiet, strategic, and extremely dangerous. Under his leadership, the Kansas City mob began consolidating power over gambling, liquor smuggling, local businesses. But like many early mafia bosses, his reign would not last long. In 1928, Joseph DiGiovanni was assassinated in a gangland hit. The power vacuum would lead to the rise of a man who would transform Kansas City forever. The Civella dynasty. The most powerful figure in Kansas City mafia history was Nicholas Civella. Born in 1908 in Kansas City, Civella was the son of Italian immigrants. He grew up surrounded by organized crime. By the time he was a young man, he was already working in gambling operations run by the mob. Civella was different from many mobsters. He wasn't loud. He wasn't flashy. He was calculated, cold, and extremely intelligent. By the 1950s, Nicholas Civella had become the boss of the Kansas City crime family. Under Civella, the organization expanded into multiple rackets. Illegal gambling operations across the Midwest. Labor union infiltration. Construction rackets. Loan sharking. Political corruption. And eventually, Las Vegas.
Some men sail for freedom. He sails for justice, and maybe a little petty revenge. They call him the Admiral, but he ain't commanding no ships, just taking them down. From fake wise guys to clickbait captains, nobody outruns the Iron Fist. He don't play politics. He declares war. He's been banned more times than a Jersey driver in Manhattan, and still comes back like low-tide meaner and saltier than before. Admiral Impeach, Iron Fist Reserve. Now he's distilled that same fury into a bottle, aged in oak barrels and bad decisions. Each sip hits harder than a subpoena. Justice ain't blind. She's just ducking me. One shot'll make you brave. Two'll make you bulletproof. 3, you'll start a YouTube war from your couch. Tagline on screen: Admiral Impeach, Iron Fist Reserve. Distilled for legends, bottled for revenge.
The Vegas Connection. By the 1960s, the American Mafia had discovered a gold mine: Las Vegas casinos. Mob families from across the country invested in Vegas casinos through hidden partnerships and front men. Kansas City was no exception. Nicholas Civella and his associates became deeply involved in casino operations. Their method was simple: skimming. Before casino profits were officially recorded, mob-controlled employees would secretly remove cash, suitcases of money, envelopes of cash, Millions of dollars disappeared before taxes were ever paid. This money was quietly distributed back to mafia families across the country. Kansas City, Chicago, Milwaukee, and others. The operation became known as the Las Vegas Skim, and it would eventually become one of the largest organized crime investigations in American history. The Midwest Mafia Network. The Kansas City family didn't operate alone. They worked closely with other powerful mafia families, especially the Chicago outfit. Chicago boss Tony Accardo and his organization had strong connections to Kansas City. Together, they controlled major gambling operations across the Midwest. Kansas City also maintained relationships with the Milwaukee crime family, the Cleveland mob, the Detroit partnership. These alliances allowed Kansas City to expand its influence far beyond Missouri. Their territory stretched across Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Oklahoma. It was a massive criminal network, and it operated largely under the radar. The FBI strikes back. By the late 1970s, federal investigators had begun closing in. The FBI launched an investigation known as Operation Strawman. The investigation focused on the Vegas skimming operation. Using wiretaps, surveillance, and informants, federal agents began building cases against mob leaders across the country. Kansas City was at the center of the investigation. Wiretaps captured conversations involving Nicholas Civella and his associates discussing the skim. Millions of dollars were being stolen from casinos like the Stardust, the Fremont Hotel, the Hacienda. The money was being funneled back to Midwest mob bosses. The evidence was overwhelming. The fall of the Civella Empire. In the early 1980s, the federal government struck. Nicholas Civella and several associates were indicted on charges related to the casino skim. The trials exposed the full scope of the Mafia's control over Las Vegas casinos. For the first time, the public saw how organized crime families across America were secretly draining millions from the gambling industry. Civella was convicted. He was sentenced to federal prison. But the damage to the Kansas City family was already done. The investigations weakened the organization. Key members were jailed. Others died. And without Civella's leadership, the power of the Kansas City mob began to fade. Credits: a Pizzaverse Studios production, in association with Palermo Productions. Written by Bambi Palermo. Narrated by Vincent DiPrio. If you enjoy deep dives into organized crime history, documentaries, and stories from the underworld, make sure to subscribe and follow Bambi Palermo and the Pizzaverse for more original documentaries and crime history breakdowns. Thanks for watching. And remember, in the shadows of American history, there are always stories waiting to be told. We'll see you next time. They told you wrestling was about glory. They showed you the lights, the pyro, the gold belts, the entrance music. But they never told you about the pain behind the curtain. On March 2nd, we pull back the curtain. Expired professional wrestler Joe Bruno. A man who's taken more bumps than a Jersey pothole in February. A man who's bled under the lights and paid the price when they shut off. And sitting across from him, Bambi Palermo. Sharp, fearless, no soft questions. Because this ain't kayfabe, this is the truth. What really happens after the crowd goes home? Who protects the protectors? And what does the squared circle take from you that it never gives back? From championship highs, to broken bodies, to backstage politics that hit harder than any steel chair, Joe Bruno tells it all. No scripts. No gimmicks. No mercy. This ain't about wrestling. It's about survival. It's about ego. It's about what happens when the spotlight fades and you're left alone with the damage. March 2nd, 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern. Streaming on YouTube. The dark side of the squared circle, where legends talk. And the truth hits harder than the mat. A Pizzaverse Studios and Palermo Productions podcast.
Trying to shoot down angels, they're trying to pull their wings off so they can't fly. And oh, but she's so brave though, just like a tornado. She's taking us by storm. You can't stop the girl from going. You can't stop the world from knowing the truth will set you free. Trying to take our voices, they're trying to make our choices, so we scream loud, loud, loud. And oh, I know you feel the lightning, and it's so exciting, so here we come. You can't stop the girl from going. You can't stop the world from knowing the truth will set you free. Know you feel the lightning, it's so exciting, So here we come.